Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's been about 3 months since I last gave you an update on my progress with my regain, so I thought I would check in and let you know how things are going. If you're new here, hi, welcome. I am about 5 years. I just made 5 years post VSG, which is kind of crazy. I had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which is a weight loss surgery, in October of 2016 in Morristown, New Jersey at Morristown Medical Center. My high weight, starting weight day of surgery was 265, 270. I'm 5'8". I was 29 years old at the time. I am now 35, and now live in New Orleans, where I'm from. Within the first 14 months post-op, I lost 100 pounds. I reached my goal weight. And then in the second year, I trained for and completed a half Ironman, which was really incredible. That was 2018. In 2019, I got a really awesome promotion and was able to move back home here to New Orleans and start working remotely, which is super great. In 2020, I spent like half the year in Mexico and then came home and bought a house. And so we've had a really fun project to work on for the last year. And in 2021, I have decided to address my regain. So really in 2018, 19, and 20, each of those 3 years, I gained like 12 to 15 pounds. And in my 4-year recap video, which I will link below, I kind of go into that in a little more detail. But really the short version is 12 to 15 pounds a year doesn't feel like a lot when it's happening because it's like 2 to 3 pounds on some months, and that feels very small when it's happening. But then 3 years later, you're like, oh shit, I've gained 45, 50 pounds when I had lost 100, and that's not good. So at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2021, I saw my gynecologist, as I do every year, and she was very concerned about the weight I had gained and recommended that I start seeing a therapist and an obesity specialist, an obesity medicine specialist, which I started doing. And honestly, I swear to you, I wish I had started therapy from day one, honestly, pre-op, or at least immediately post-op. That has been the best thing I ever could have done. And I know I say this in every video as of late, but if you think you're in a really good place in your life, if you think you're in a really tough place in your life, or anywhere in between, therapy can only help. It's such a valuable resource to help you get out of your head, see things differently, and just give you a different perspective on the way that you're pursuing your life, and that can only be valuable. I know that some people have mentioned that they don't even know where to start in finding a therapist. So there are a couple of resources that I will post in the comments or in the description box below that you can search for a therapist online. My therapist I found because she was recommended by a friend. So, there are personal recommendations, or you can find one online and go to them. And I know sometimes it's hard to find a good fit. That is, I think, probably the most important thing. When I was in college, I talked about this a long, long time ago, but the summer between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and ended up dying 6 months after his diagnosis. So that was probably the most difficult time of my life. And I went to not a therapist, but a psychiatrist, I think, at the time, who was just awful. Made me feel so much worse about everything that was happening in my life. And from that point on, I was like, never again. This is the worst. This is terrible. And I think a lot of people have had experiences like that, unfortunately. I've talked to people who are like, oh, I had this one terrible experience, and so I'm never going back. But honestly, when I had my pre-op, before VSG, I was required to have a psych eval, which a lot of places do. And the woman I talked to was just so kind and so wonderful. And I really wanted to meet with her more, but she wasn't covered by my insurance and she was very expensive. So I never went back to her. But that kind of planted the seed for me that maybe they're not all terrible. And I'm here today to tell you that they're not all terrible. So I am fortunate in that my insurance does cover part of my therapy appointments. Sometimes for some folks that's the case, sometimes it's not. But again, take a look at the resources that I've posted below. Some are very affordable, even if they're not covered by your insurance. So I hope if you feel like there are some barriers in your mind as to why you wouldn't want to try therapy or start therapy. And I know that the thought of like meeting with someone who's not the right fit and then finding someone else and meeting with them and they're not the right fit, like that can be an exhausting concept before you even start it. But I promise you the like payout afterwards, if you find the right person, is so great, like heaps and bounds greater than the pain in the ass that it is to find the right person. And if you can find the right person on the first go round, as I did, like my friend just recommended this person who was the right fit for me, even better. So honestly, I cannot recommend this highly enough. So what have I been doing? Therapy. Secondly, obesity medicine specialist doctor, which I told you I don't love. The reason I don't love her is because she has me on 1,200 calories and she thinks that that's okay. And I really don't think that that's okay. But based on the medicine she's giving me, I'm also like able to eat 1,200 calories, which I feel like isn't great. So I have made an appointment to see an endocrinologist. I think if if the situation is that my metabolism is so slowed as a result of having had weight loss surgery, then perhaps I need to see a metabolism doctor, which is an endocrinologist. When I was living in New Jersey, I had an endocrinologist, and since I moved back to New Orleans in 2019, I have not found a new one. So I have made an appointment to see an endocrinologist, and I think that once I'm kind of done with this obesity medicine doctor, I will switch to an endocrinologist for kind of like long-term weight management care. That's my plan. So I wanted to follow up with you guys because last video I had so many comments about like, get rid of this doctor, and I agree with you. She's really, I just disagree with her plan for me. But anyway, so last time we talked, I meet with her every 3 months, and every 3 months she kind of changes my medicine. So last time I met with you guys, I was halfway through phentermine. I was halfway through the 3 months of phentermine. So I was taking half of a phentermine pill, so like the smallest dosage, in the morning, and then 2 Topamax in the evening. Now, Topamax was giving me really bad brain fog when that was the only thing I was taking, but I did find that the phentermine counteracted the effects of the brain fog wonderfully. So brain fog was no longer an issue, but phentermine was like giving me lots of energy, even though I was on like the lowest, smallest dose. So I had reduced my caffeine intake to half decaf in the morning, which is really kind of sad. And when I talked to you guys, I felt like it was still okay. But by the end of the 3 months, I honestly like just wasn't sleeping well. And I have always been a good sleeper. Like I have never had trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, and not feeling rested in the mornings. By the end of those 3 months, I couldn't fall asleep. By the time I fell asleep, I would like wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and just be like wide awake. I would feel like exhausted in the mornings. It was bad. Like I just was not sleeping. So when I went to see her at the end of the 3 months of the phentermine / Topamax run, I told her that, and she was like, okay, insomnia, we'll switch you to something else, which like, I don't know. I feel like she just doesn't listen or discuss very much. She's just like, okay, we'll switch you to this. So what she did was she took me off of the phentermine and put me back on the diethylopropion, which was the medicine I took that very first month, February of this year, if you go back through my videos. So diethylopropion in the morning, Topamax in the evening. And she said that that should have a similar weight loss effect. Oh, by the way, those 3 months of phentermine and Topamax, I lost almost 20 pounds, like 17 pounds. It was crazy. It was great. I felt like I was eating about the same as before, 12 to 1,500 calories, working out about the same as before, lots of cardio and some body pump classes, except the weight was coming off, which was great. She said that the diethylopropion and Topamax combo would have a similar effect, but without the insomnia. I said, all right, let's give it a shot, because when I did the diethylpropion by itself, it didn't really do much, but I was only on that one for 1 month. That was the very first thing we tried. So she put me on that, and immediately I started sleeping better. Absolutely. But I continued with the half calf just in case. And then a whole bunch of life things happened. We went on this wonderful 2-week road trip to Mount Rushmore and the Cheyenne Rodeo, and we saw Blake Shelton in concert with Gwen Stefani. It was their first performance together as husband and wife. It was this really great trip. And on the very last day, my mom fell off a horse and broke 5 ribs. It was really bad. We were in Cheyenne. She was flying out of Denver. It was rough. So first we were on this trip. Then I was tending to her quite a lot, especially in those first couple of weeks. She couldn't really move. She couldn't bend over. She couldn't do much. And if you're familiar with broken ribs, there's nothing they can do. There's no surgery. There's no binding or bracing or anything. They just give you ibuprofen and tell you to rest. So I was helping her a lot in those first couple of weeks. And then Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans pretty bad. We were out of power for 14 days, 2 full weeks, and did not evacuate. We have a generator, just a little portable generator, and a window unit here in New Orleans. It is very hot. It was in the mid 90s Fahrenheit, with feels like temps well over 100 for those 2 weeks. My mom was staying with us because she doesn't have a generator at her house, so she was staying with us with her very broken ribs for 2 weeks during a power outage. We were boiling water because the water wasn't safe to drink. It was a difficult couple of weeks. And then our power came back on, and my in-laws had rented a condo, a beach house, in Orange Beach, which was lovely. They do this every year, but usually we're out of town, we're not able to go. But this year we're able to go. And for most of a month, we stayed with them at the condo in the beach house. So I was working remotely from there and going to the beach and the pool and living there, which was nice. It was really nice, but I felt out of my routine. Also during that month, I also went to Vegas. One of my best friends got married. Just a lot going on. And then we actually came home early from the beach house because there was a death in the family, just someone who passed away very early, very tragically. So that was really sad. But then, we were home, and then some other friends came in town to visit. And then my cousin's dog passed away. If you've been around for a while and you've seen my Mexico videos, this is the cousin with all the Westies. His very first Westie, his oldest one, who was 15, passed away, and that was really sad, just like really sad for a while for the family. I don't know, it's just been non-stop. It just has not felt routine. My life in the last 3 months, since the end of July to now, we're at the end of October, has not felt in any sense normal or routine, except for maybe the last week. So what I have tried to do from like a mental health perspective, and I have continued to see my therapist every 2 weeks. Initially I was seeing her once a week, but now I've kind of decided that every 2 weeks is okay for me for now. I've continued checking in with her, and honestly, in these 3 months, I haven't lost more weight. My weight has stayed about the same, and I don't know if that's because of the medication or because of lifestyle. On the one hand, I think it's fantastic that I've been able to maintain despite all of this life craziness that has been happening. I think that's great. I really do applaud myself for that. But on the other hand, I'm about to go check back in with this evil, terrible doctor, and she's going to be like, well, you haven't lost any weight. And that's not going to be a fun conversation. She makes me feel bad, There are so many reasons I'm so ready to get a different doctor. So, we'll see what she says. But the big change when I met with her last time, she took me off of the phentermine in the mornings and put me back on the diethylpropion. And what she really said was that I needed to focus on reducing my body fat percentage. I needed to focus on that even more so than losing weight. So what that means is I needed to focus more on weightlifting. Now at the time, I was doing body pump classes 3 days a week. And if you're familiar with Les Mills body pump, really it's a cardio class that happens to use weights. So you do get some amount of like strength training with it, but it's not really like a lifting program. So I bit the bullet and decided to actually start weightlifting, which I have never done in my life. As much as I love going to the gym, I have always been kind of like a cardio addict. You know, I love step class, I love spinning, cycling outdoors, I love swimming, and even body pump classes are fun for me, but the thought of just like plain old weightlifting sounded really boring and terrible for me. But I knew I had to do it. I agreed with her on this point, at least, that I needed to reduce my body fat percentage. And the reason for that is that when you have more muscle and less fat, your body burns more calories at rest. So that is kind of the only way to naturally increase your metabolism. And part of the problem, or what has happened with me, is that my metabolism has slowed so much that at rest I'm only burning like 1,600 calories, which is why she had me on 1,200 calories a day, because you need some deficit to lose weight. So if I'm able to increase the amount of calories that I'm burning at rest, then in theory I could increase the amount of calories that I'm eating and still have that deficit. So I've decided to really focus on weightlifting, which I thought I would hate, and initially I did, but it's been almost 3 months that I have really focused on weightlifting 3 to 4 days a week, and I'm starting to kind of like it, you guys. I never thought this would happen. So what I did was I purchased a weightlifting program from Keto Coach Lauren. Normally I think it's $80, but it's on sale for $40. I'll put a link in the description box. I'm not like affiliated with her, no affiliation whatsoever. This is just a product that I purchased that I am super happy with. You like fill out a form and tell her what kind of equipment you have access to and what you're focusing on, and she builds a program for you that is a progressive overload weightlifting program. So it tells you what exercises to do, how many of them to do each day. So I have it on my phone, I take it to the gym, I go to the gym and do those exercises. And it's amazing. It's written for 20 days, and I was doing them 3 to 4 days a week. So I've finished the 20 days and now I'm doing it again. And I'm on like day 10 or 11 of the second go round. And it's incredible how much strength I've gained. Weights that were like difficult for me to lift the first go round are now like super easy. And it really is amazing to see that kind of progress, and fulfilling and enriching and exciting. So that has actually become fun for me. At the beginning, I was like, man, this is boring. I'm just here by myself. Normally I'm like a group fitness kind of person. I like feed off of the energy of the room. So, I'm there with my headphones. I have a good playlist, but it's like you put the weights on the thing, you do the lift, you take the weights off, you put more weights on, you do the lift. I don't know. It just felt kind of boring to me. But now I'm in this like headspace where I'm like, yeah, I can do it. This is so awesome. And I just feel good weightlifting. And it's so exciting to see my own progress day after day after day. Honestly, like from one week to the next, I'm able to lift heavier weights. And that is exciting to me. So I am actually excited to meet with my doctor again. I meet with her early mid-November. Because every time I see her, she does an in-body scan, which is not a DEXA, but it's the next best thing, I think, in terms of measuring your body fat percentage. So hopefully, even though my weight has stayed about the same, honestly, like within I've been like up and down 2 pounds for 3 months. Even though my weight has stayed the same, I'm hoping that my body fat percentage has come down. My muscle has to have increased. It has to have increased. So I'm like excited to see that, and excited to see if my base metabolic rate has changed. So that's my update. That's where I am. I'm feeling really good. And like I said, from a mental health perspective, I think because I've been meeting with my therapist for over a year at this point, I've built the right kind of habits, thoughts, mindsets, boundaries to be in a good space, even when the world is chaos around me. So again, this is one of the great benefits of meeting with a therapist regularly, not just when things are bad, but even when things are good, that you can establish these good and healthy patterns and routines and mindsets in your life, so that when shit does kind of hit the fan, you are able to like hold the fort at least. And like I said, the fact that all of this crazy stuff happened and I haven't really gained any weight, and I've continued working out. Even like when we were at the beach house, I found a local gym, was able to continue my weightlifting there. I've like been very diligent about sleeping the right amount of hours. If you follow me on Instagram, you see every week I post a little calendar that shows like what my workouts were and what my sleep was and everything. I'm very diligent about making sure that my basic things are in place first, and everything else will follow. And for the most part, I've been in a really good place. So I'm down almost 20 pounds this year since I started. Yeah, exactly 20, maybe like 21, since I started all this in like February. So considering that my yearly gains were like 12 to 15, a yearly loss of 20 is awesome. I was definitely, not that the year is over, there's still 2 months to go. I wanted this year to be more. Of course, I wanted the weight loss to be faster. We always want the weight loss to be faster. But when I think of it in the perspective of I gained 12 to 15 pounds a year for 3 years straight, and I lost 20 this year, maybe more in the next 2 months, I feel really good about that. And I think I can maintain it, and I think I can keep going, and I think I'm building good patterns and habits in my life. And I think I've discovered a new love of weightlifting too. So stay tuned. Thank you for keeping up with me. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.